really need to receive our daily bread, the daily bread that feeds our soul, that's more important than the material world. Lord, we are here to come together to listen the words that we have from our friends today, Elaine and Jack. And please bless them so they will have the right words for us that we will inspire our transformation, that will inspire us to pursue the work that we need to do to be happy, to have the opportunity to walk on your kingdom. Lord, there's so much things that we got to become better. Our patience, the forgiveness that we need to have for each other, and most of all, the love for everybody that we know. Help us today to inspire also on these meetings. So be it. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. Nice to see such a full house today. It's always so amazing to see a lot of people. Sorry?
I think we need more chairs or no? Is everybody sweet?
If we need, I can get more chairs. But please, I will give the word to Elaine and to Jack, who's going to give the word first. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcio. And welcome, everyone. Welcome to Cisco. We're so happy and so excited to be here today because, this community here, we're celebrating 2 years today, but this community actually started long ago. And Marcio can say that, Angelica, Simone. And the way that we started, just like the Christians started, right? Just going to people's houses and start like talking and, sharing thoughts together and sharing prayers together. And we became a community. We just want to remind us where we came from because it's such a good feeling to remind us that we came from this small group that was in Angelica's house the other day. And today we're here, and I think this is the first time we're coming together as a community. And we have the United States here, we have Brazil, we're missing Maria actually, but we have Mexico too. So we're such a multicultural community now, and we keep growing. And that's really the goal for us to be here together and keep sharing our thoughts. And each word that we give here, each thought that we give, just helps us to be a better community and helps us. Every time someone shares something, I can relate in my day to day. So it's such an important time for us to be together. And it's good that we keep together as a community because, all of this wouldn't be possible if we were not here. And, we have friends coming from far, us here coming not too far. But we do want to say that this is a little bit out of our comfort zone here. The first time that Jack and I come together. And speak in front of an audience. So be nice to us. I would also say there might be some Portuguese in the middle here because, as you guys know, most of the things that we read is in Portuguese, and sometimes it's just so hard to find the right word. We feel like we find a word, we find another one. It's not exactly what I was trying to say, but if you say something that doesn't make sense at all, just please raise your hand or not making sense. So, but again, we just want to say how much thankful we are for this opportunity here. And as we volunteered to be here today, our week was kind of crazy. And of course, everything happened in this week, like work. And you guys know that we just bought a house and renovating our house and tons of things happening. But we hope we were able to find a few things here that can be, can touch you the same way that touched us. As we're thinking for what should we talk about this day? And we decided that the best thing to talk about is community. The best thing to talk about is being together. The best thing is love and sharing this love. So let's get started.
Yes. Okay. What comes to your mind when you look at this image here? I know many of us, when we go out camping, right, we like nature and you see a lake, a river, or something, you want to throw something at it, right, to see this effect here. And an illustration of this, we can actually experience this right now. If I can ask you to look at each other right now and maybe just smile. Look at what just took place. A simple act of kindness, of joy, created this ripple effect. And, for those of you in the academic world, Newton's law. I'm not a physicist or anything like that, so let me read here verbatim so I don't misspoke. Every action in nature, there's an equal opposite reaction. And it's such a real thing because we just experienced that. It's not like, oh my gosh, where's this happening? Where's this happening out there in the world, in the spiritual realm? No, it's here. Right? The same way when we throw the stone, when we cast the stone in the lake and we see this ripple effect. So we kind of want to bring light into this reality that our actions, our words, our simple act of kindness, as simple as you think, as ordinary as smiling to somebody, will have this ripple effect. And so our actions have the power to impact our circle of influence, right? And what we do, again, what we say, impact others more than we think or more than we even believe sometimes, or even though sometimes we're not even conscious, but we are, right? It doesn't have to be words, or it doesn't have to be something that you may do, but just your presence sometimes. And speaking of the community, right, how many times I've been blessed by just being here, and maybe because you showed up with your daughter, and it brought me joy, right?
She's paying attention.
She is.
So we're going to talk about this this scripture here from Paul in Romans 14:7, for none of us lives for ourselves alone. And this perspective encourages empathy, cooperation, and a sense of responsibility that we have with each other. It's important that we take care of ourselves, and we'll talk about it, and that's very big in our studies here, right? Where we our inner reformation and what we're doing for ourselves so we can become better. But what is the purpose? Why do we do that? It would be very self-centeredness if I did that just because I want to be better for myself. Well, that's true. If you want to take care of somebody, you have to be well, and that's very true. But the bigger purpose is, it's the community. It's how am I impacting? How am I helping others? Find the truth, find hope. And hopefully be a light that shines towards Christ and God. And as we do that, we grow. We really find our purpose in the act of service. And so that's our topic today. Now, we base this discussion today from the book known as The Living Spring, Fonte Viva, by Chico Xavier and by the Spirit of Emmanuel. So I would like to read this with us here today. And let's hear here and see what Emmanuel brought us regarding this topic. So the tree that you plant will produce not only for your own hunger, but for the necessities of others. The torch you light will illuminate not only the pathway at your own feet, but also the path for those with you. Just like a stream of water influences the soil over which it passes, your decisions inspire people's decisions. Thousands of eyes watch your footsteps. Thousands listen to your voice. And thousands of hearts receive your encouragement to do good or evil. Nobody lives solely for themselves, says the divine message. Whether we like it or not, the law demands that our lives be connected to the lives of those around us. We live for our families, for our friends, our ideals. Even reclusive misers who think they need no one live for their gold or for their possessions. which they will have to hand over to the other lives when death takes them. Being aware of such reality, keep an eye on your own pathway. When feeling, you think. When thinking, you do. And everything that's part of your endeavors, through your intentions, words, and actions, will represent the influence of your soul, helping to liberate you for the glory of the light, or worsening your capacity for suffering in the darkness. So keep your eye in your inner world and do as much good as you can while it's still today. For according to the wise concept of the Apostle Paul, none of our lives, none of us lives for ourselves alone.
So let's talk a little bit about what we just heard, right? So let's just remind ourselves like who was Paul. So he was someone very important in the society. He was a person that very well educated. If you were to compare it to someone like nowadays, it would be like a congressman or someone like that. So he was someone that held a lot of power in the community at that time. As he was seeing Christians like organizing a movement and seeing things like changing in that community, he became very nervous about it. And then he started persecuting Christians himself. The picture that you see on the left is a scene where this person standing there represents Paul, and the person there being persecuted represents Stephen. And if you read the book, Paul and Stephen, which is an awesome book we read last year, we might read again, you're going to see that the two spirits or the two people, they're going to be connected in that moment there throughout entire lives from Paul's life. Because actually, Stephen's going to be the one that's going to help Paul fulfill his mission. But at the very beginning, he was the one persecuting Christians. He didn't understand the cause. He didn't understand the mission. He was really focused on the politics at the time. He was really focused on the power at the time. But there was something that happened in Paul's life that changed everything. One day he was going to persecute Christians. And he was actually in the road to Damascus. And as he's going there, there's just bright, like shining light that comes and actually blinds him. And the voice asks him, "Why do you persecute me?" And then he realized it was Jesus himself talking to him and asking him, like, "Why are you doing this?" At that moment, he got all his energy from one side and moved to another side. So he became a Christian at that time. And he goes from persecuting to, at the end of his life, being persecuted because he strongly believed that the message of Jesus. His life was not super easy. And of course, he had a lot of trials and a lot of things. He became this biggest example for us. He became this role model. And as he was communicating the message of Jesus, he did what we were doing. He was going to small communities and he was talking about Jesus. And sometimes he would go in a very humble places. Sometimes he would go to people's houses and they would start talking about Jesus, and they would start like forming communities there. And he did that in several different places. And then he started several different communities. Things were going well until he realized that those communities they had a lot of questions. They needed a leader there. They needed someone to answer like the day-to-day difficulties that they had. And people started coming from all these different communities and asking him, like, "We need your help. You need to come here. Like, we have this happening here." Like, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, what do I do now?" And one day he was in one of the churches and he starts like, crying and praying and really asking like for guidance, for help, which is something that sometimes we forget to do when we're like in a time of like a challenge, right? In a time of like, we feel like we're alone and we feel like, no, I should do this all by myself. I have to figure out, I have to create a plan. But he was wise at that time and he decided to pray and ask for help. And then the voice voice again came to him, and he recognized the voice of being Jesus himself. And the voice told him, you don't have to be there in all these different places. I'm going to help you. What you're going to do is to write letters. And you're going to start writing to these communities that need guidance. And that's where Stephen was extremely important, because Stephen was, at that time, already in the spiritual world. And he was the one guiding him and helping him fulfill this mission. So, as we see here, he was writing to the Romans. And at that time, what he wanted to tell the Romans is, you need to be united. Because the Romans was a Christian community there. A Jewish community there. And as you know, Jews, they don't recognize Jesus as being the Messiah. So then there was that conflict there between the communities. And there was also politics. There was also politics. Kind of reminds us of, there's some resemblance of everything today. But there was like huge conflict there. And they were asking both for guidance. And what he said to them is like, be united, respect each other. You have to live together. You have to live as a community. You have to love one another. And then what he said was like, none of us live for ourselves only. You're not living just for yourself. You are mindful about it. Open your heart. Try to help yourself. And we like to mention Paul because he was definitely not a person that lived for himself. Maybe in the very early days, he was really focused on what his mission was, like, the Congress and everything. But after he converted to the message of Jesus, he really moved and he really understood that it's not just about himself. His mission became to convert people and bring people to Jesus. And he lived it. He lived this himself. He didn't live for himself. He lived for the people, for the mission. Yeah, only someone that can have power, wealth, knowledge, and society. Only somebody that understands something that's not different. You only do this. Because how do you go from persecuted to being persecuted? Right? All of the people still have the middle of the right? So we truly understood that concept of living for others, and life is about filling a purpose that's greater than us, right? Now, when we think about that, we need to forget about ourselves, though. Self-care, not that's certainly not the case, right? Because again, for the inner mission, I must do the work. Now, what we're trying to shine a light on is why do we? Yes, it's benefits. But the true purpose, and the purpose that would be more meaningful, right? It would be that others will benefit from that. Because again, the influence, our circle of influence, we're influenced in the community we're part of. Family, work, relationships, physical, and our neighborhood. So what benefit would there be from doing that for myself? Think about nature. What tree eats of its own fruit? Right? The billion, like mango. I've never seen a mango tree. Oh, let me taste this. Let me see, what I told you boys. That was some fun. Right? What flower experiences its own fragrance and then it's giving itself away for somebody else, right? I mean, Jesus himself, when he talked about our greatest example, why did he come down? Why did he come? Why did he choose to do this mission? What was part of who he is, right?
So we should do things for ourselves because that's the only person in control. Um, but that will help us again foster that positive influence that we're trying to achieve. So with that, Elaine will discuss a little bit of what does that look like even in the cognitive um, anything they act greater than we think. They have a huge future, a bigger impact than
So speaking of that, I would like you guys to think for a moment how you're move around. Think about the responsibility that you have for those in your house, in your work, the people that you talk to every day, the community. So you think about your circle, your people around you, you would like to what to fix you. So what just happened? That's actually energy. It's a phenomenon called spontaneous inspiration. That refers to an action that happens without thinking. So when we look at nature and see all the fireflies like blinking all together, synchronizing, synchronized, um, you always see in our heart and our muscle, our heart muscle, intestines, they all work together. There's no thinking. It's the action. So if you think that, there's imagine people around you, and that experiment they're just showing like mechanically trying to represent something that already happens in us, happens in our body. So think about like the power of our thought, the power of our understanding, and the power of our action. Sometimes we feel like we're just in that small bubble thing. For us, we believe that this bubble is not that. But it's people that see it. A lot of people that don't see it. What experiences are with us. Um, so we need to be very mindful about what we're influenced about what we say. How many times we have a good word to encourage someone with something amazing, and sometimes the person is just waiting for a word, and then you say that word, and someone just empowers someone to do it. But how about those times where someone is just excited to talk about something that comes to you, and they tell me something like, let me go ahead and do it. Let me tell you like how mine is. Even like people talk, you don't even know what are you doing? You're changing. You're changing. Maybe things should go in one way, but you talk about pop, you talk about so you need to think about this. And
and how we act. Also, to think about this little one. He's going to be watching as we talk. He's going to be watching as we behave. And depending on how we behave, he's going to have some behavior that's aligned to that. Because all of us, we want to be alone. We want to be synchronized. We want to be working together. So, a word of encouragement, a word of peace, a word of love, a word of compassion. It's extremely important, and we need that. We need more of it. The definition about this liquid attack in the water. Think about, think for a second about the entire world. They're doing this liquid attack. What we are doing today, all the actions are doing this liquid attack. How we don't fully see because it is, oh, it just belongs to this small community. It just goes to people. But something that I mentioned here, Fernando can go home and mention that to his family. He can mention something at work, something to his family. And sometimes that's the word that someone was waiting to hear. That's the word that hope. Sometimes someone is in a people say that everybody's like fighting a battle that we don't know. And that's absolutely true. Each of us is fighting a battle that we don't know. But sometimes just a word of encouragement can change the direction. And very important. Um, they say that we are the average of 5 people that do that. Think about the 5 people. And this is something, you gotta know you, but this is something like it's also because you are one of those people for someone in your circle, right? What kind of influence you are being with those small people? You're part of someone's small people at school, at work, at home, of course. Um, you're not part of this community. You're part of all these communities. Sometimes communities that we don't talk about, like religion, but you're part of it. So what kind of influence we are being in those and I think that's where it's really the that um, a lot that has to do with that is the way we are and Solomon, the fathers, and then thinking. Um, so the thoughts we have, what we believe and what we think, those are the things that lead us to the way we act. And if I'm conscious that I don't look for myself, that I go home, that I do this, that is how I say. But I also had a thought. But what is my role in life? Right? Or if I see, I don't know, again, smile. It's incredible. And at times, and I've been the recipient. It's a nice gesture at times that I can right? So we create our world by what we think, and our actions are based on what we believe. Of course, negative thoughts will drive negative, and that negative behavior. What we see, what we hear, and also impact those from entertainment to type of songs am I listening to, what type of talk am I listening to, right? Of course, nowadays, it's a huge, there's a huge role in that and what people do nowadays. And that takes us away from being present. And again, you think about, okay, how am I impacting, how am I influencing this environment right now by not being present, by not being present. Now, beyond the physical things that we can see, right, based on what we believe, there are the unseen things and the eyes can see that also impact. Yeah, that's actually a question that asked you too. And this spirit is going to us, not necessarily more than you think. Often they're the ones who do. So it's a lot of factors. If we have the top, we connect with Oliveira spirit, it's gonna help us to keep improving, help us to keep moving forward, help us to get better, help us to do better. If our thoughts are not so good, then we can connect with spirit that why do you connect with them? What do you want to do? Taking classes for maybe. And we might connect with them just by walking, just there, going to work or driving. I have that annoying thought in my mind. I'm really sure if I would going to completely creating that scenario of like, not good. And then we start connecting with like mind. So there's a I want to talk about Givaldo Franco in Brazil. We know him as being big medium. He's one of the biggest medium alive. And he had a company that was not so pleasant to him. The obsessor spirit that was with him was a huge part of his life. And that spirit was always appearing to him in the lowest moment. Every time that he felt really low and he felt really life was challenging, that spirit would come and would talk about like, you shouldn't do it. They're not gonna do it. You shouldn't do this. Because that spirit is connected with him not on the day to day interaction, but connected with him in his past life, like centuries ago. And the spirit believes that if I was the person responsible for him committing suicide, and just like he kept following him, he kept like putting not so good ideas in his mind. And every time that Givaldo was kind of low vibration, he was connecting with that spirit. And that spirit was incentivizing him and giving him not good ideas. And so one day, and if you know Givaldo, you know that he's a person of charity. He's a person that opened non-profit in this field to help kids in need. And one day, there's a kid that comes to his door, a newborn, and he welcomes this newborn. And this newborn is actually the reincarnation of the mother of the spirit that is tormented. And that day, the spirit looked at him, seeing like how much love he gave to the newborn, and say like, today, I'm going to have to do that by loving the spirit that was my mom, it was my mom in this situation, you're showing me that maybe it's still. So we have to be mindful. And we're talking about Javal. We're talking about someone that's dedicated his entire life to working and spreading the message. He's not perfect. He is not perfect. Not perfect. But sometimes I kind of maybe that's what he's doing, what I'm doing. So of course, it's easier for me to connect with not so high vibration. Most of the time, I have to admit here, not easy. I don't always have the thoughts. I don't always have the best intentions. And I really need to think and talk myself. Like, you really want to be thinking now? And actually, Joanna, the Angeles, she guides me how to talk his life. Talk his life. And she says that, like, what are you thinking now? Help me get closer to God or further? Just imagine if you ask that question. Proverbs, no word. And you're like, bringing it closer to us. Close enough. It's not even close. So well, let's keep an eye on our thoughts. Let's think about what we think. Let's keep ways. Oh, let's look at it. Yes. We got the book. So the question is, how can you live a life when it comes to wicked spirit? So I'm reading the Oliveira book, and the answer from the church is by doing only what is right, and putting all faith in God. You repel the lower spirits and prevent them from controlling you. Do not listen to spirits who inspire you with despicable thoughts, cause conflict, and stimulate malicious passion. Particularly, distrust those who flatter your pride, because this is how a spirit attacks you at the weakest point. This is why Jesus makes you recite the Lord's Prayer. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. So let's talk about a few examples that we brought you today. I already mentioned about how expensive it is on the left. He is an investor of the psychograph 250 from the Lord's Prayer. He has a no profit, like I mentioned, in Brazil, and they serve over 5,000 people a day with that no profit, including people all ages. And he adopted himself 600, and he called the students and considered that. And some of the children now, they're part of the mission. They're like doctors. They're like teachers. They're working. There's no profit. So his mission was not about himself. His mission about like, helping others. His mission was about like reaching out to the community and spreading the love. And I think his mission now, because he's 96 and he's still working. And his mission right now is like not just about him anymore. It's about the huge family that he created. So Mother Teresa in the middle, she dedicated her whole life of people of the poor, for the dying people, influence of Calcutta, in India. And she won the Nobel Prize actually for humanity in 1979. She opened her home and she created a lot of homes for children in need, for people dying. Her message is love, it's about peace, and it's about humanity. It's about Christ. The message is love. And then this person here, Chico Xavier, he photographed, I had to put the numbers there. I'm not going to remember it. 490 books and several thousand of them. Chico little bill, and people would come to him, moms especially, very sad about two sons and daughters like passing away and not knowing what happened. So they would come to Chico and ask, like, I need a message, they need to know they're okay. And he wrote thousands and thousands and thousands of letters to these people that call to them. That there's beyond fear. Yes, you just, you know, the time that we spend here, we learn the things that we go through. It's like that's a real home. And you come back. So those ones who believe that, they so grateful knowing that it's not over. And that was Chico's message. But it's not just the work that he did and the everything. He was also an example. He's an extremely humble, extremely grateful. And it's also not easy, but even the teachers of where he is, it's bad and like little, you know, wait for like I notes and provide that and that's it. And this the entire money that he made like right typographing the book, it's a check. So let's think about those how much they inspire, how much they really propel us to go further, to want to be better, to learn more, to be more humble. And every year, all it takes is those books. I mean, how many times you can buy you not have to agree with things that you can go. You have to talk to great, and that is fine, right? So you don't have to necessarily only look for those that you know to do something and they do so much, they do so much, and they get called to be up to this point. You know, they still do my time, about 5 years. Um, but you know, they take a lot. Only a little bit of youth, right? And as Paul here mentioned again in Corinthians, you know that a little yeast leavens the whole batch. Again, you have to sometimes to scale back and think about that risk with them, right? You create a risk with a little stone or a big rock, right? And maybe us gentlemen, you like to splash with one big thing, you know, you see a rock, you want to roll it down the hill and see that splash, but guess what? Little stone is straightened up. Okay, look, you can tell, but you'll create a back anyway. And the fact that we're connected to each other, even at a magnetic level, we need to know what kind of forces we're protecting one another from. Again, I like to do things down because I'm not there. I'm not involved. I'm not going to write books, but at my level, of what is in my reach based on my limitations and where I am in my consciousness, in my own inner reflection. What is it that I can do now? Yeah. So sometimes we feel like we're not impacting. This won't happen. I don't need to be honest. That's fine. Nobody else is not. No, we'll live in. We'll impact the whole world, right? That's all you do. You get that bread to be ready and delicious. So when we consider the needs of others, be honest, it leads to a well-being society, more compassion, more harmonious, right? And again, I'm the scale back guy. Yeah. We want, I think you're eating the nation. Okay, good luck. That's gonna be hard. But yeah, I scale back. Think about your circle. Begin there. Um, and there's really examples here in all of in different parts of the world. There's a lot that we can learn from things from their lifestyles and how they take on and yeah, absolutely. And they have in this community that they have lower SUVs, they live longer. What do they do? What do they do especially we are not doing? They get together to work out together. Of course they take out their important, like working out, by eating healthy, but they get together and we have this network of people that we talk, we care about. They share their thoughts, they share their frustrations, share their feelings. And that's what matters. Yeah. I check with them. At the end of the day, all of the women, emotional women, all of the things that we Even if it's so hard, at the end of the day, people and how much and how well we connect with people. That's why people are living longer. There's actually another study by Harvard, and I'm sure many of you know, the 85 year study, and they just follow the people to see how they're living their life, the longest study ever. And they want to respond to the question, what makes us happy? What makes us have a happy life? And yeah, it was not money. It was not like what we see. It was not work. It was like people. What matters is like who are we connected and how is it? A lot of people think we're connected. It's like a heart to heart connection. It's like opening our mind and also opening our heart to chat, to be. And that's what they realize 85 years following those people. There's a connection, following thought, action, this is what it is. So we want to feel that void of making the things we talk about. And really nothing wrong with that. It's just when we make bad ideas. And that's now we're deviating from truth. Um, talking about community, we can bring it back here to us. This community of friends, of people that share um, common goals, right? Inspire each other to grow in love and wisdom and knowledge. Um, you have been here a little bit longer. Tell us a little bit more about this political community and how it impacted you. This also, um, this community to me means that it's a day-to-day reminder. I need to be my mindful about how I'm driving my life. I need to be my mindful about my day-to-day perception. I need to be mindful about how I'm feeling. This really is here. There's so much curve coming here every day. You get some days off the week. You can put them and you can each other. And I can understand that we have a speech out. We're going to be seeing this. It's a reminder that you do that. You can do that. You can opportunity. So grateful. There's an opportunity for us that we don't know. Maybe she did not decide to come here today. Or maybe she did not decide to open. There's so much, so much you can learn from yourself. There's so much you can do. I just want to community. Yeah. Well, I want to encourage everyone to community. You may think you're just going up. It's Sunday. You do.
But for myself, I guess thinking like how many times to work on and work on and work on and work on. This is that spark of joy I needed in my life. So you may think that the benefit is coming up because you're doing comments. And you do. Because you're bringing something to say that but it's a question, comment, and we want to encourage you to continue to come learn and help us grow each other, and help us. And we want to jump into a video here of Monty that where she talked about our greater purpose. Right? Why why do we need this? It's gonna do a better job than I can from our everyone's mission. So very profoundly, we can summarize in its own words. By this, all by this, all people will know that the my disciples. We have love for one another. And this has been played across for them. And we want to show a little many video type of thing and showing how this house of faith has been building a bigger block in the last 15
Mm, It's just for me to uh, and here's for me to close. We wanna thank everyone for being here. So thank you for being here. You've really been present, really being part of the community. The community has done so much. So I hope this community is helping you too. That you can use the date that is hard. You can think about. You can think about all the things that you we hope that gives you that strength that you need to keep going, keep living your life in the best way possible, to cause beautiful sentences, but also with ourselves together, with ourselves, spending time, that we share your ideas, share your thoughts, but especially having this heart to heart conversation, sharing that we have. Thanks so much again for allowing us to be today. To be really together. Don't want to think peace, it's really beautiful to do this, to talk, to be able to keep together. One of the Martin, all everybody, each and one, and I have to think it's beautiful for you. I'm going to begin here, so more, the more, more we have knowledge on our heads to keep spreading this. We have that power, that we do. We have the power of God. We have the power of God. And sometimes we don't have to talk. Sometimes we have to ask us to do this. So then thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the presence. And we're going to close by doing a prayer. Just, uh, we invite you to open your eyes and thank you for this evening. For all the things that you have positive and long things together. Just in power in you. So, thank you for this year. This life is long. We have been really hard to really power. We do yes, we do power of faith. We focus on the faith. We have to know it. We don't know it. We are able to get to keep resting. And keep resting the power. We do it well. We well. We well. Focus on the goals. We also see the message, which is so deeply. Focus. It is together. To work. It is together. To work in human health and work. Listening to you.